Let's get started. So it will be handy if you've got some props with you. So I can see that my dad and Hannah have bolsters. Um, Jenny, if you've got a bolster or a thick pillow, something like that, or a couple of thick cushions. If you don't have blocks, you can use like a thick hardback book, and maybe a yoga strap or a belt is what we will need today. And we're going to start lying down on our backs. And you can see what I've done there is I've put a thick pillow on top of a block. And if you don't have a block, it doesn't matter. You can lay the thick pillow down, but we're going to take our supported fish first of all. So coming down onto your backs, I'm wearing my socks because my feet are a little cold. And just give yourself a little bit of a space between you and your bolster, and then gently bring yourself back down. And it's a nice back bend here that is supported, obviously, with the ramped bolster effect. You can keep the feet along the mat nice and straight legs, or you might wish to take your butterfly. And then the arms just come out to the side and really allow the chest and the shoulders to open. Try and relax through the belly, relax through the spine, and just take note of your neck. Are you lifting up the chin, or are you dipping the chin down towards the chest? So try to keep the neck nice and long and in line with the spine. Then closing the eyes, closing the mouth, taking the tongue just on the roof of your mouth. And start to come to your steady breathing, breathing in and out of your nose. And as you start to focus on your breath, just let thoughts of your day just drift away. They don't need to be here, present with you now. Just be in the present moment, connecting to your physical, your mental and emotional state. And just notice any sensations and messages that the body is telling you and sending you as you lie here. So when we breathe in through the nose, really take that breath deep down into the abdomen, the belly area, not just the lungs. And as you breathe out, try to let go, release any tightness and tension. And if anything feels uncomfortable as you lie here, just make a modification to make sure that you are comfortable. You don't have to stay in a posture if something is hurting or you come to a place of pain. We never want that with our yin practice. We want to be challenged, but not to the point of discomfort. So we always want to feel something. So remembering those exhale breaths, let go, release, relax a little bit more. The inhale breath travels around the body, to the toes, to the fingers, to the crown of the head. And our practice today will be mostly working with the spine to open up a little bit into the chest, into the upper back and the middle back. So a few back extensions. but also to work to release into the hamstrings, into the back of the legs, and also the hip flexors. So take note of how they feel for you now. How does the spine feel? How do the back of the legs feel? And how do your hip flexors feel? And let's return to that feeling at the end of the practice and see if we've made any difference to those sensations. And if you wish to, you can always draw an intention into the practice. Maybe of finding deeper release, deeper letting go, deeper grounding, deeper stability. So gently, just bring some movement back into the fingers. Start to wiggle the fingers, stroke the base of your palms, and then start to circle into the wrists. And then just gently lift the arms up above the head so that you can raise the arms up until the point that the shoulders start to open and the armpits reach to the sky. Now, if you've got that bolster behind your head, you might be able to rest the palms or the backs of the hands just behind the crown. And then the elbows start to open up to the side. So here, feel the shoulder blades. Are they crunching in towards one another, or are you starting to space the shoulder blades out as you relax into the armpits and the elbows be heavy? And then bring the hands underneath the head, interlace the fingers to support the head, and then let the elbows release out a little bit more. Relax into the shoulders, the chest, and then lift the head up with the hands. So you're going to start to look along the body. Draw the elbows in towards the center. Draw them in. So you're going to curl through the upper back. Maybe the legs are still in butterfly. Maybe they are straight along the mat. You're looking forward and you're pulling the elbows forward towards the feet so that you round through the upper back here. And then release the hands down. And if you're in that butterfly, you can lift the legs together and then just place the soles of the feet down, place the hands down, and then press up to take your bolster or your pillow away. Taking the block to one side, and let's bring the bolster around to this side, and we're going to come into a supported bridge by placing that bolster or pillow underneath you. And bring the bolster underneath the pelvis, underneath the hips. So make sure that you're nestling yourself in and you feel really nice and comfortable, nice and stable, so that you can drop the hips down. Soles of the feet are on the floor and the toes are nicely relaxed. Try not to draw or claw the toes back in any way, but maybe lift up the toes, spread them out, and then release them down. So here again, draw the shoulder blades downwards. So you're spreading the shoulder blades out. Bring the hands back behind you into cactus. So there's a bend at the elbow and the palms face the sky. Again, take a check of the throat, the face, and take a few steady breaths, and breathing out, relax into the hips. Let the pelvis be really nice and heavy. If it's too much for the shoulders or the chest, you can always bring the hands down by the side of the body, palms face up. Each exhale relaxes just a little bit more. We're here for a couple of minutes before we go into a pontoon. So pontoon is with straight legs, but we'll go there in a minute. I want you to really feel the weight of your pelvis. It's a very heavy part of the body. And you feel that bearing down with gravity into your prop. So you're not supporting yourself, the prop is supporting you. And with yin, we hold our postures for a number of minutes. That could be anywhere between 2 and 10. They're all either reclined or seated. You should never be putting yourself under stress or forcing any of the postures. Relax through the hip flexors, the thighs, and the hamstrings here. Relax the knees, the calves, the ankles, and the feet. Drawing attention into the present, remembering the body sends messages constantly to the brain. Really tap into those messages, what you're feeling, what the sensations are coming up for you. Maybe even just focusing on your breath, steadying the in and equaling the out. And this time, just lifting the arms, bringing them back down by the side of the body, either side of your bolster, palms face up. And then we're going to lift the right leg, send it up towards the sky. And just take a look if you wish to open the eyes at the toes, or you can keep the eyes closed and imagine that inner vision, that inner awareness of that focus going up towards the toes. Try to let that right leg be heavy. Again, dropping into the hip, into the bolster. You can always bend the knees at any point throughout the practice today. Now lengthen that leg. Reach it away from you so it starts to come all the way down to the mat. And you're going to start to feel that stretch into the hip flexor and into the psoas. The psoas are just wrapping themselves around from the lower back around to the abdomen. Feel that right hip drop. Relax the glutes. We're just doing one leg at the moment, so left leg is still bent. Relax through the lower back and the belly. And then bring that right leg back into that bent position, ankle underneath the hip. Lift up the left leg. Again, feel the weight of that leg dropping into the hip. The pelvis drops into the bolster. And you don't have to open the eyes to look at the toes. You can have that inner focus up towards the toes. Relax the face and the neck. And then start to lower the leg. So extending the leg away from the hip. It slowly lowers all the way down to the mat, bringing the heel down. And again, just relax into that left hip flexor and the left psoas. Holding here for a few breaths. Just notice if one side is different to the other. And then bring that left leg back. And let's take both legs up towards the sky. So lifting up into your supported shoulder stand. Make sure that you are really on that prop, and then lengthen both legs up towards the sky again. You can have a soft bend into the back of the legs. Try to let the weight of the legs drop into the hips and the weight of the hips drop into the bolster. Focus is up towards the toes. And the heels are above the hips. So you're not bringing the heels forward and the heels aren't away. So think of that nice line from heels to hips. And then release both feet down bent. And then extend both feet along the mat. This is your pontoon. This is both feet stretching out. So if this is too much for you, just come back into the bent legged supported bridge version. So you can always place the soles of the feet back up onto the mat and relaxing here into the hip flexors, relaxing into the thighs and the psoas. Try to relax the spine. So legs are down onto the mat this time, and we're kind of arcing ourselves, arcing our body over your pillow or your bolster or cushion. And if you want to increase that stretch into the upper body, then you lift the arms up above the head and maybe they come into that cactus again, maybe with slightly bent elbows. So you're really kind of just spreading yourself out and the hips are lifted up away from the mat. Breathing out, release tightness into the hip flexors, release tightness into the glutes and any places that you're holding yourself. Really try to release as much as you can. A few more breaths here. And then bring the hands back if you took them over the head and lift the right, lift the left knee and lift those knees up. Your bolster is supporting your spine and maybe you start to draw the thighs in towards the chest. You might hold on top of the knees. So make sure that your tailbone is nicely lifted away and supported. Relax the belly, relax the spine. And then soles of the feet come down, press into the feet, lift the hips as you take that prop away, and then start to slowly roll down through the shoulders, the upper back, middle back, and the lower back. Release the feet all the way to the mat. Take a moment in full Shavasana. And just allow the body to respond without any prop underneath you. Just notice how the spine, the hips, the pelvis now feel. Back of the legs, front of the legs. Draw the knees in, roll and massage out through the spine. You can circle the knees around one way, circle them the other. Take the fingertips up onto the top of the knees and guide the knees out to the sides as you just gently open up through the hips. We're going to come up to kneeling in a moment to work a little bit into the hamstrings a bit more. So rolling over to one side and pressing yourself up into a tabletop for cat and cow. So having those props by the side of you, we're going to be using the blocks in a moment. So hands underneath the wrists, knees underneath the hips, sway the hips from side to side. Give yourself a little circle, circle the hips forwards and backwards. Go the other way. And then find neutral, pressing away from the mat, lifting the chest into your cow, exhaling into cat. So when we come into cat, really draw the abdomen up towards the lower back, and the lower back kind of curls around. You're pressing away from the mat, broadening across the shoulders. And then last time we come back into neutral. Let's take a nice wide leg child's pose. Knees go wide, toes come together, and the arms go wide as well. Slide the fingers forward as you press the chest down towards the mat. And you can always place the head down onto a mat or onto a block. Try to draw the hips back towards the heels. Imagine someone's pulling your fingertips forward and someone's pulling your hips back. So you're really stretching through the spine. Try to relax as much as you can on your exhales. We're coming into a hip flexion here where, the contraction of the hip flexors, where we've just stretched those out in that pontoon posture. Try to relax into the contraction of those hip flexors. Lifting the head, bringing the hands back into the center. Lift the hips, come back into tabletop, keeping the hips above the knees once more, coming into heart pose. So we're going to stay in heart for a couple of minutes. So bringing the fingertips towards the front of your mat. Keep the hips above the knees, melt the chest down, and you can always, again, place the head on a block or the mat. So you want to melt the upper back downwards towards the chest, downwards towards the mat. So remember, this practice was about the spine, releasing tightness in the back body of the legs. Try to relax the hamstrings, the glutes. Let's slide forward into Sphinx pose. So you bring the arms in a little bit narrower, and then you're going to just shift the hips forward, keeping the knees and the elbows where they are. And then you can drop the hips and then start to press through the mat and come up into Sphinx. Maybe you need to move the arms out just a little bit, but if you can try and work towards getting the elbows underneath the shoulders, that's a great place to be. And you can always widen the feet here as well. So when the feet are together, it's a little bit more challenging for the spine. So I always tend to bring my feet a little bit wider. So neck is in line with the spine here. We're here for a couple of minutes. So really dropping through the hips, dropping through the pelvis, keeping the chest nice and open. Facial expression is relaxed and soft. Throat is soft. Really imagine that gravity bearing down through the lower back and the pelvis here. So relax the hips, relax the legs, but keep active through the upper body. You feel the chest dipping or the neck sinking between the shoulders. Press away from the mat. The chest nice and lifted. One more minute. Widen the elbows, roll the belly, the rib cage down nice and slowly. No rush. Hands come underneath the forehead, big toes touch. Release as you sway out. So whenever we come out of the posture, we always want to allow the body to react and respond and just feel what it's like to be back into neutral. Little bit of a stretching exercise here for the legs, the arms and the back. So right hand stays underneath the forehead, left hand reaches forward. We're going to lift the left arm and the right leg together. Now you can keep the head down, or you might wish to lift the head and the chest. So you're stretching away, holding for 2 breaths, reach, 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 fingertips and toes. Both hip bones and pubic bone are grounded, and release. Let's do that twice more. Breathe in, stretch away. Hold for 1. Hold for 2. Hold for 3. And lower. Last time on this side. You can always keep the head down. Remember, you do not have to lift the chest away from the mat. Reach fingertips and toes away from one another. 2 more breaths. Remember, we're working through the back body here. Try to relax through the hamstrings a little bit. Hand the back and lower. Bring the hand back and sway out. Relax. Left hand underneath the forehead, right hand stretches forward, breathing in to lift. Keep both hip bones of the pelvis grounded, pubic bone grounded. Reach, reach as you breathe steadily. We don't have to come too high. Lower. Twice more, breathing in, lift up. Reach the fingers forward, reach the toes back. Engage all of the core here, so that means front, sides and back. And lower. Breathe out as you lower. Inhale. Lift up. Last time. Good work. Each inhale might go a little higher. And exhale. Release down. Bring the head to the cheek this time. Turn the cheek to the side and just bring the hands back behind you. Palms face up and just sway out. Relax the shoulders. Good work. So relax through the spine here. And then let's press back. Tabletop. This is another opportunity for you just to release out your hips, circles, and maybe some of those cat and cows to release through the spine. Notice if the spine's a little bit more mobile and flexible now after we did those back extensions and prone work. Right, let's come into some dragons and some half splits. So if you've got your 2 blocks, or you can use a bolster. Remember that bolster can always go underneath the back leg to support you. So right leg comes forward, and those blocks can be on any level. So we're keeping that knee above the ankle, and then just dropping the hip down. You're going to feel that stretch here. So lift up through the abdomen. And maybe you come down a little bit so that you bring the belly on the inside of that right thigh and try to relax the hips downwards. So head might drop as well. We don't have to be upright here. That's your choice wherever you need to be. We're here for a couple of minutes, so make sure that you're comfortable. Relaxing as much as you can with each breath out. We're not holding. We're allowing gravity to drop the hips forward to the front heel. If you feel a deep stretch into that thigh, you might have gone a bit too far, so just pull the hips back a touch. You know your range of motion and level. One more minute here, doing great. Soften even more with your exhale. And just really feel where those tight areas are coming up for you. Take the breath there. Close the eyes and try to find enjoyment. And let's come out nice and slowly. So start to press up through the fingertips, start to bring the hips back, lifting up through the front right toes. And let's come straight into our half splits. So if you've got those blocks handy, bring them back to the knee. And you can always take a soft bend into this front right leg, but we're trying to keep the hip again above that back knee. Lengthen the spine first of all, and then imagine that the chest is coming all the way down to the shin. So you're folding from the hips. You're really giving yourself the space. Lovely. And exhale over the front thigh. Relax the head down towards the shin. And you can always move those blocks and then come down onto the hands. Let the head be involved here. It's extra 5 kilos of weight. We're here for 2 minutes. So remember, we want to not go into our maximum posture first of all. We want to work up towards that edge. Breathe into those tight areas of that front right leg, maybe in the spine. Few more breaths. Doing great in these half splits. To come out, bring yourself back up onto the fingertips or the blocks. Gently and softly bend the front right knee. Drop the hips forward and then draw that right leg back. Sway out. Circle. Oh, see how that right leg feels. Yeah. And if you haven't done yoga for a while, just take it as it comes today. Okay, so repeating those on the left. So we're going to move from the dragon into the half splits. So again, you can always use that bolster to pad out under that right thigh. Bring the blocks back if you've got them. And keeping that ankle in line with the knee. And then just finding a place to settle for those 2 minutes. Dropping the belly on the inside of that left thigh. And we always have a favorite side, of course, but if you can try and think that to find balance between right and left is important. So notice that, we always have challenge. Make those modifications. Relax the shoulders. That gravity, drop the hips downwards towards the front left heel. Relax into the hamstrings under the underside of that left leg. Relax into the right hip flexors. Certainly relax into the glutes. Try not to take tension or engagement there. Doing great, almost there. More breaths. And let's slowly pull our hips back. So we start to straighten through the front leg. You can always keep a soft knee, drawing the toes up towards the sky. Bring the blocks back if you need them there. Again, lengthen the spine. Keep that left foot in line with your left hip. Lengthen spine, fold from the hips, and exhale. So the belly, the chest comes down to the thigh. Think about the head going all the way to the toes. If you visualize it, then it just works towards that location. Breathe out if you feel particularly tight on one side. You might have to make some more modifications. Softening through that left knee should you need, but keeping those toes up towards the sky. Breathe out. The body drops a little bit more. Try to relax as much as you can in those muscles of the left leg. Last few breaths. Softly relax the front foot. Bend the left knee. Drop the hips forward and then draw that heel back. Oh. Circle out. And then cat and cows if you need. So we're going to stretch through those thighs now. So if you have a bolster, you can always place the bolster behind you here, and you can sit on the bolster or a block, whichever you need, or maybe the hips come between the feet. So it depends how comfortable you are into your knees. If you've got that block, it just keeps you a little bit lifted up, that's all. So we want to think about the knees going forward and in line with the hips. You can get the calves out of the way just by lifting them. And then just use the hands just to press the tops of the feet down so that you give the tops of the feet a little stretch. And here we don't have to go into full hero, of course. So we can start to bring the hands back. Okay, you're going to lengthen the knees forward. And then lift the hips. So lengthen the thighs, lift the hips, see if the hips come in line with the knees and the shoulders. And you can place the hands on blocks if you've got those. Open the chest, open the shoulders, and then maybe the gaze goes up towards the sky. You got a little press, opening the chest, lovely. Stretch those thighs, stretch the hip flexors. Stretch the abdominals. And then bringing those hips back down. And bringing the legs out in front of you. So coming into a nice forward fold. We're going to hold our fold for about 4 or 5 minutes. So you can, of course, use a bolster underneath the legs. And then you fold forward, that's okay. Or you can keep the knees bent. You can use, I know that my dad likes this one, so he rests his head here, and that's okay too. Or if you've got those blocks, then you can make a little tower and you can rest the head down. Okay, so many options. Work out which one is for you. I'm just going to go straight into a fold without anything. So again, we want to fold from the hips. So lift up And get the belly, the chest down over the thighs. Give yourself a little wiggle. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, relax a little bit more. So don't go too deep too soon, because we're here for a number of minutes. So really close the eyes and enjoy this one. Take this one as your meditation. Allow the back body to breathe, so the back of the legs and your spine. Relax the shoulders away from the ears and let the head relax down to the knees or the shins. Maybe you find with each breath out, you relax a little more. You let go a little more. And you find a little bit more comfort in the forward fold. Doing great. Go a little bit more. Really try not to hold anything anywhere. You've prepared the spine and the hamstrings for this one. Just a few more breaths. And take your time to come out of the posture. So keeping the head where it is, keeping the chin towards the chest. Start to walk the fingertips back towards the hips as you start to unroll through the spine. You start to bring the shoulders back up in line with the hips and then start to lift the head. And you just feel the spine unravel itself into an upright position. Few breaths as you come out of the fold. Feel the back of the legs and then lift the legs up nice and gently and just give yourself a hug. Relax the chest, the belly down over the thighs. Let the head fall between the knees. And then hands come back behind you. Just windscreen wiper the knees out to the sides. We're going to come back down onto our backs. So have your strap handy. Make sure that you're nice and warm, because after we've had our deep stretching here, we'll go into our Shavasana. So strap by the side of you, draw the knees in towards the chest as you just gently drop the spine into the mat. Feel the imprint of your spine. Start to roll and massage out a little bit through the lower back. You might feel that after that forward fold, the spine needs to kind of decompress into the mat. And then you can take hold of, again, the tops of your shins and just guide those knees out to the sides as you just gently circle through the hip joint. See if there's any difference there. So this one is going to be our reclined leg stretch. We'll probably do leg stretch 1. We probably won't do 2, but we'll do a twist after that. So circling back the other way with those hips. And then left foot stays bent, sole of the foot on the floor. Right knee stays in towards the chest. Draw the knee downwards. So you want to draw the thigh down towards the chest and feel that the spine is long. So we're not lifting up the tailbone, we're lengthening the tailbone. Spine is long and connected to the mat. This is where you have your strap. And if you don't have a strap, you can hold on to the foot, the ankle, the calf, or the thigh. So placing the strap on the sole of the foot, start to extend from the knee. So try to keep the thigh where it is. Start to extend from the knee, trying not to pop into the back of the knee. Relax the calf, relax the hamstrings. Draw the hands all the way down to the end of the belt. And then if you wish to intensify this reclined leg stretch, you can stretch that left underneath leg out. So the foot is soft, no flexing, no pointing. And just try to feel the hamstrings relaxing. Again, you can always bend at the knee, but it's better to drop the thigh towards the chest than keep the leg all the way away from you. You get a deeper stretch into the hamstrings if you can work from here. Closing the eyes, relaxing into this one. And if you were to let go of that strap or you were to let go of the leg, it would fall. You are holding it. The leg isn't holding itself up. Breathe out tightness. Breathe out release. And visualize those toes going way back over the top of the head. Visualization goes a long way when you're imagining your body doing something. going to take that into a twist. So let the leg go away from you. Again, at kind of 90 degrees, so the heel is above the hip. And then drop the leg over to the left side of your mat. I need to wiggle a little bit. And you're holding on to the strap or your leg with your left hand. And then your right hand starts to open up to the side, palm face up in line with the shoulder. Try to let that leg be heavy. You can always take a bend into the knee. So you can bend at the knee and let the knee drop over. That leg is heavy. It wants to fall to the floor. And the only thing that's stopping it is the strap. So if you allow the leg to fall, you might find a deepening pose, but not overstretching. Relax into the glute of the right buttocks. Relax into the outer hip, the inner groin, the hamstrings, and the back of the knee. Few more breaths. We're almost there on this right leg. These are the last few postures before we come into relaxation. Taking a nice deep breath out. A nice deep breath in. Bring that leg back into center. Use the strap or use your hands and then release the strap. And send that leg long, all the way along the edge to the edge of the mat. Notice how long that right leg now feels. Draw both knees in once more, roll and massage out. And then left knee stays in. Place the strap over your left foot. Then keeping that right leg bent for a moment. Draw the thigh in towards the chest and extend as you breathe out from the knee. Try to draw the tailbone down. Draw the hands all the way down to the strap. And if you wish to intensify this one, again, you can extend that right underneath leg. Deep breath out. And just notice any differences from the right to the left. Relax the foot, no pointing, no flexing needed. Soften through the back of the calf, the knee, and the hamstring. Try to relax through the pelvis. Soften through the spine. Soften shoulders, chest, face and neck. Last couple of breaths on this one. Imagine those toes going way back over the head. And then we're going to roll over onto our right hip. So holding the strap or the leg with the right hand, left hand goes out to the side, palms face up. You come into that twist and you almost roll onto the right hip and open the chest and shoulders. And again, that strap or you holding that leg up. If you were to let go, the leg would fall. This is our last posture. So really feel this one working into the back of the legs, into the spine. We're in a twist as well. Breathe out, let go a little bit more. And your next inhale breath, lift the leg with the strap or the hands, bring it back into the center. Bend the knee, take the strap away, extend the leg all the way along the mat. Full Shavasana moment. See if that left leg is now equal to the right. Both super long legs. Feel the spine recovering from the twist. And then draw the knees in, roll and massage out through the spine. And let's prepare for your final relaxation in Shavasana. So taking the legs long. If you've got that bolster, you can always place the bolster underneath the knees. You can have a blanket underneath the head. Turn lights off. Use eye pillows. Make sure that you're warm. That's the crucial thing, because at the moment, obviously, temperatures are changing. And when we go into meditation, the body temperature does drop. So quite often the back body gets neglected, the legs and the back of the spine. So today we just worked a little bit into some back bends of Sphinx, heart pose, supported fish. And we try to lengthen out some of the larger muscles in the back of the legs, the hamstrings, the glutes. They often get quite tight when we're sitting down quite a lot. Now just feel the back body as you connect to the earth, as you allow the body to rest and recover. Just give yourself a little body scan, crown of the head, all the way down through the neck, the spine, the pelvis, back of the legs, back of the knees, arms, Achilles tendon, and the underside, the soles of your feet. Really drawing into the present moment here. Focusing on slowing down your breath and your heart rate. I'll leave you for a few minutes of silence to enjoy your relaxation. Beginning to take a few deeper breaths. Bringing awareness back to your surroundings. onto the mat and into the body. Start by wiggling fingers and toes, moving wrists and ankles. Maybe rolling the head gently from side to side as you start to bring a little bit more movement back into the body, either stretching, drawing knees in, and taking time to return up to a comfortable seat. And let's bring the hands into the heart center, Anjali Mudra. And just feel sitting nice and tall here. We didn't start our practice seated, so this is our first seated posture. Just notice how the spine, how the legs feel. Relaxing shoulders away from ears as you lengthen the neck, and just give yourself a little smile. Just turn corners of your mouth up. Relax through the facial expression, and the eyes are soft. And as you take a nice deep breath in, draw that breath deep down into the hips and the legs. And a slow, deep breath out. Try to relax any further tension you may be holding. And then returning to any intention that you set for yourself for practice. Feeling more grounded, more stable, more balanced. And I like to thank you. Namaste.